Hey everybody, Eric Broadbent here, and welcome to another live EVH Gear Discussion Hangout. I'm joined by a couple of my buddies here online. I'm joined by Mike Cheever, who is also, it's his birthday today, so happy birthday, Mike Cheever from Indiana. And I have my Canadian counterpart, Jeff Alexander from Edmonton. Welcome everybody.
Hey
Thank
Eric,
you.
thanks.
Good to have you guys here. So we got a little bit of a couple Canadians. I guess you're outnumbered there today, Mike. I'm sorry, it's two Canadians against the one American, but I think we have a couple more Americans joining us soon, so we might be leaving the odds out. I,
It's all good.
yeah, it's all good, and we won't even get into politics tonight because I don't think that's probably a safe topic to avoid. So listen, tonight's just a free for all. There's nothing really on the agenda. There usually isn't anything on these agendas. We're just going to have some fun. And one of the things I'm excited about today, I'll share my excitement with you guys, and then we'll open the forum up for some questions. Today, actually, was it today or yesterday that Adam got the guitar? Adam Reaver at FU Tone got my Purple Wolfgang yesterday and got it on the operating bench today and hot rodded this thing. He hopped it up with everything from a brass block to kill switch. I put in a bunch of titanium parts, some stainless steel parts, all that kind of stuff. And I had the opportunity to talk to Adam tonight for I'd say probably a better part of half an hour, 45 minutes through FaceTime. And he was I think more geeked out than I am myself to get the guitar. He's playing this guitar, been playing it all day, and for a lower end Indonesian made guitar, he told me he puts it up against some of the American stealths. So I was very pleased to hear that, and it's kind of an honor for me too to have my guitar in the hands of like the he's like the world's best eye surgeon, whatever, for guitar, if that makes any sense. So I'm anxious to get that back. But yeah, anyways, I just want to open up the forums to you guys. What's happening in your part of the world? I'll start with you, Jeff.
I thought it was two Jeffs, so that's going to be a little bit tricky.
Yeah, just one for now.
You know what? Yeah, and if you want, just call me. My nickname amongst my peers is Jeffy. So if you call me Jeffy, IE, of course,
Okay,
I know you're talking to me. But my part of the world, well, been busy with work, and when I'm not doing that, I'm playing guitar.
great,
And
great.
I've been talking back and forth with Mr. Charlie, as you know,
Yep.
and Liquid Charlie, as most people would know him as. And the conversations have been really good back and forth. And apparently, he's got something new coming his way in a while, and can't wait to see what that's going to be. And but yeah, listening to what he posts and what he plays, and him bouncing off me and me bouncing off him, it's been really good.
It's good.
Absolutely.
It's good to have a soundboard like that with somebody that you can bounce creative ideas. Him and I do that a lot. It's funny, like we talk about the good stuff on the internet, talk about the bad stuff on the internet, and I find that we're and you'll find this as well too with him. There's a lot of inspiration. It's nice to find inspiration in other sources, and whether it's another guitar player, or even if it's like a sport. Like for me, I have buddies in the entertainment industry that have nothing to do with music, and I find them inspiring too. So there's all kinds of sources you can find of inspiration out there. They don't necessarily have to be musicians, but it is cool when you find that thing like that, and just to get inspired to play guitar more. And it's been like with that with him, with me as well too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, he's definitely got some cool stuff happening too. And what about yourself there, Mike? I've seen some pictures of you on your Facebook page. You've got some nice guitars and stuff. Tell us a little about yourself there.
Well, I worked today, and then I got off early, and I just been chilling out. But I don't own that guitar. I work at I don't know if I can say that.
Okay, yeah, you don't have
Oh
to if you. Yeah, best not to.
yeah, but it was at my job, and I was just holding it and checking it out, so I took the picture with it. So,
Oh, okay,
but
cool.
I do have a couple Wolfgangs. I have the limited striped one,
Yeah,
and I have the black stealth one with the the fixed bridge that you can adjust a whole step down, which is really nice.
nice. I think I did see the striped, the red, white, and black striped Wolfgang you have, correct?
Yeah,
Very nice.
I like that one a lot, and I also have the Star guitar.
Cool.
Yeah, so
Very
those
cool.
are
Just,
all
you definitely have
great
a good selection then.
guitars. Yeah,
Right on, right on. I was talking when I was talking to Adam tonight. Like these guitars, like the Stripe series, obviously they're not the lower end by any means, but they're certainly not up there with the American series as far as the well, not the price tag. I don't even want to touch the quality because the quality is amazing. when I was talking to Adam about even the Indonesian, the standards, I said to him, and I had a couple other Google Hangouts recently with some other buddies, Josh Smith and a few other guys, and we're trying to pick these guitars apart. For the price point, retail price point of these guitars, there has to be physical flaws with these guitars, and you put these things under a microscope and you just can't find them. And what I said to Adam tonight is, I said, you buy one of these guitars, you send them to Adam. You spend, even if you want to go crazy and spend three or $400 at Adam's business with FU Tone, you still got a guitar that will blow away just about anything that's on the shelf, American or otherwise, for barely under $1,000, or maybe just barely over $1,000. It's totally crazy the quality that these guitars are, and I'm not saying that because I represent the company by any means. I mean, that'd be an easy thing to think. I want to pick these guitars apart, and I wanted to find a flaw. I just can't find them. Stripe series as well.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like tonight, I was outside on the patio. I was playing the black and white Stripe series, and it's got the Wolfgang pickup in it as well too. And it feels buttery. It feels good in your hands. Tone is there with a one pickup guitar. I just find anything in this line is a very inspiring product. And Jeff, I know you play a lot of you have some of the EVH gear and you have a lot of the PVs, right?
I have the yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's my even though it's not made anymore, that would be my mains, straight up.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And I love the PVs as well. I've got several of those as well too. I just find there's a bit of a difference. I'm not saying one's better than the other, but there's a difference. And actually, I did a video a couple of days ago too, and I picked up with the American PV I have, and a lot of guys were liking that one as well too. They said, and some people actually liked it more than the EVH gear. It just had more of a bottom end to it. But it's nice to see the consistency in his guitars. Whether it's obviously the cosmetics don't change too much. We'll get into the Stripe series and things like that. Obviously they do, but the quality that he puts his name on, you can definitely stand behind it. Whether it's a PV, whether it's EVH gear, whether it's the Music Man, whatever, that kind of thing. The quality still shines through. There's always a little nuances that is consistent amongst all of them.
Well, that was the big thing, Eric, that kind of flagged me to want to get involved in this. Was I read or thought I'd saw talking about all three, and if we get a chance to do so, I definitely want to bring up the fact that myself and a friend of mine, we put all three guitars, that being that of the Music Man and PV and the EVH, against each other live on stage, and it was quite interesting, my outcome and Neil Hanna's outcome. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the name Neil Hanna, but he's got a band called Cranked, and
No.
he's a big Music Man head. He's got a huge Eddie Van Halen Music Man collection,
Okay. Yeah.
and he's also got the EVH Wolfgang. And then I went to visit him, and I asked him what one of my guitars he wanted me to take down, and he wanted me to bring down my custom Wolfgang, my Wolfgang, the Wolfgang Special, right? Because that's what I play. I'm not much of an arch top guy. I like the flat tops better, which are more indicative or based thereof or that of what the Music Man guitar was, right?
True.
So I brought that down, and then his band Cranked had a gig, and that's why I came down, took down the guitar so we could get together and do some chatting about gear, so on and so forth. But we had the chance then to put all three guitars against each other on stage for different songs, so on and so forth. And it was interesting between him and I what guitars we decided when we played on stage, what we chose to be 1, 2, and 3, if you will.
Okay.
So
And
for me, I mean, it's a 50-50 toss-up between that of the Music Man and my PV Wolfgang, and then it would be the EVH Wolfgang, and then he did the same thing and played and of course his first pick was the Music Man, and then he said my Wolfgang, and then his third pick was the EVH
Okay.
Wolfgang,
Oh,
which
gotcha.
was like it was quite interesting. All three guitars sounded, I can't say good, they sounded great. I would say I came a little bit forward with the PV Wolfgang because, of course, that being my guitar,
Hmm.
and was built. Even though it is a Wolfgang as such, it was built. It is custom. Was built for me. So I think maybe that's why I leaned a little bit harder towards that guitar being first over the Music Man, and he chose, or not music, yeah, the Music Man, and he chose the Music Man, just slightly ahead of what my PV was. But then third choice was the EVH Wolfgang, and
Okay.
it was interesting. But all three at the same time sounded amazing, if I
Nice.
can put it that way.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh
That's
yeah,
good to know for sure. Very good. And I see our. I don't mean to cut away. I see our friend Jeff, the other Jeff from Vegas, has rejoined us. Jeff, can you hear us? Okay, he may jump in. He can't hear us yet. Jeff, if you can hear us, just feel free to jump in and say hi. That way we know we can hear us. Now, Mike, with the guitars that you have, you've got like the special striped Wolfgang, the red, white, and black one. You've got the Star, the other ones that you mentioned. What is your favorite at the current moment? If you had to pick up one just to get the mojo flying and play, which one would you pick up?
I play my stealth mostly because I can tune it differently on the fly.
Without the
Like,
locking nuts and whatnot.
yeah, yeah.
That's
So I,
cool.
I I picked that one. I used to have a Music Man too, which I kicked myself because I got rid of it, which I should have never done. But stuff happens.
I know. We should never ever get rid of guitars. And I know there's situations, whether it's finances or whatever. We've all of us. There's not. I don't think there's one guitar player alive, including Eddie Van Halen, who hasn't got rid of things that they kick themselves in the butt for.
Yeah,
Whether it's just okay. I'm going to trade this guitar for two distortion pedals. I've done dumb things like that. Maybe not that dumb, but I've done some things where the dealer had certainly got the better deal than I did. But it's something I wanted. Here you go. Will you take this American PRS for a microphone stand? And you give it to them, right? It's just you're not thinking in your right mind. But yeah, we kick ourselves in the butts. I got rid of one of my American PVs. Jeff, I told you about this one before, the transparent purple one.
right.
Like, oh, and I kicked myself for that guitar. Fortunately, a good friend owns it, and it's in good shape. And I'm sure if the day ever came and I said, "Hey, I'll give you $500 more than what I sold to you for," he'd probably sell it back to me if I asked him real nice and I helped him find another one. And I may do that someday because I do miss it a lot. And it was amazing. It sounded better than my other American PV. Same guitar, pretty much. It was one of those special pieces of wood and had yeah, that happens, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I hear you too. Without the locking nut, that can be handy sometimes. Just if you want to do something on the fly, or if you got
Well,
to
it
tune.
has locking nuts, but it has the tuners down below,
Gotcha.
so
Okay, I know what
you
you're saying.
can tune the whole step down. And
Nice. Okay.
I like that.
Yeah. Very, very, very cool. With me here, now this is going to change come early next week when I get the guitar from Adam. But right now with my guitars, I've got a Japanese Wolfgang Special. I've got a couple American PV Wolfgangs here. I've got the EVH Stripe series. The boy's got the transparent purple standard upstairs, which is I borrow from him once in a while, and I've got the same one coming. But right at this very moment, if I walk in the office here, studio, and I grab a guitar, I tend to, and this is strange, I grab the black and white striped series, the one humbucker deal, and I don't have the tonal characteristics I can get out of the, obviously a two humbucker deal and get some nice, really nice melodic leads out of the neck pickup and stuff like that. Don't have that with a single humbucker deal, but I find I'm grabbing that guitar more and more. The neck is just buttery on it. My office is very up and down when it comes to temperature. It can get extremely hot in here. There's cold in here, and that normally plays extreme havoc on guitars. It's not climate controlled, so you would think that neck would be shifting all over the place. I could have action buzzing out one day and then have action like 3 inches off the neck another day. It's not. It's not adjusting like that to the weather. So I'm very lucky with that. It's a lot of times you're fighting with the truss rod and stuff like that. But I love the guitar. It begs you to play it. So that's my go-to guitar at the moment. Come next week, that's going to change. I can guarantee you that.
Now, I wish there was definitely more us within this conversation, but I'm tickled pink that that there is the three of us at the same time. Eric, if it was you and I, it'd be great as well.
Hmm.
But what I'm getting at, or getting to, have both you gentlemen had the opportunity of trying the the Charvel San Dimas series EVH? I don't notice enough people have those guitars anymore. More, I know they still exist,
Yeah,
but have both you guys had the opportunity and chance to sit down and play those guitars?
I have never had one in my hands. Nope. How about you, Mike?
Me, me either. I haven't either.
No way,
No,
guys.
no. How about you,
Wow.
Jeff?
I sure have. I was totally mind blown at the time that I played it, but of course the it was the financial wise at the time I wasn't able to purchase one.
Yeah,
But yeah, I was just curious if you guys had happened to be able to put one of those guitars against that of the new EVH series straight guitars.
yeah. No, I have not, and I wish I could say I have for sure. I was always in that situation too, where when that guitar first came out, and even with the Ernie Ball Music Man at the time too, that come out, and it just I wasn't in a financial situation at that time. That's long before I owned my own business, and working for the man, and it just the finances weren't there at the time. Now if they were to just come out with that Ernie Ball again, now it's on the market today. Well, then that would be a different story. So it's one of those things where you miss out
Right.
sometimes, and then you got to pay three times what they're worth when you can afford it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. You see them now posted online, and I mean, it's amazing. The guitars are either sold and not necessarily talking about the Charvels, but an EVH, whether it's a PV or whatever, American, definitely an American release model, and guys are letting them go for ridiculously cheap prices,
Yeah.
nowhere near what the guitars are worth. And I don't think a lot of times the guys that are getting rid of them might really understand, you know, what they're letting go and for what amount of money they're letting it go for.
Yeah.
Although at the same time, I give kudos to the guy who ends up purchasing the guitar that I've talked to on a lot of bases on the other side, and it's like, man, you've got to smoke a deal on that guitar.
Yep.
Don't question it, just pay it,
Yeah,
take
that's
it,
right.
and enjoy.
And the cool thing is too, if that person ever wants to get rid of that guitar, God forbid, down the road, he or she can turn around and not necessarily profit on it. You might make a few bucks, but you're certainly never going to lose on it. Even with the
Exactly.
PV Wolfgang and things like that too. You pick one up, you can resell it. You're going to get your money back out of it. I mean, you might not make a huge investment and stock return. Oh, we got Jeff in there now too. Jeff, can you hear us?
I hear you.
Hey, fantastic. We got Jeff Higgins from Vegas.
Hey, Jeff.
Jeff, I'll just give you a quick introduction here, just because we missed you there earlier. So we have another Jeff. We have Jeffy Alexander from Edmonton on the west side of Canada here. We've got Mike Cheever, who is his birthday today, from Indiana, and obviously myself from Ontario, Canada. So we've got a bunch of different time zones. Jeff, you're what in Vegas? An hour behind us?
It's 6:30 now.
Okay, six. Oh yeah, you're 3 hours. Okay, so 3 hours behind us. Okay, so there we go. So we got three different time zones. Yeah, today, Jeff, this is just a free for all. There's no real itinerary. We're just talking about Eddie Van Halen and guitars. And I was
Who?
kind of, yeah, exactly. And I was giving a bit of an introduction to yourself too. I was saying how you and I, the one thing you and I have in common is we do we're into photography big time as well as
Yeah.
guitars.
Yeah.
And Jeff is a phenomenal photographer. You have to look him up on Facebook. If you can't find him, just find him on my Facebook, whatever, or search for him. You'll see some of his photography work. We're both on the opposite spectrums of brands, but brands don't mean anything when it comes to photography. It comes down to the photographer in the eye. So kudos
Yeah.
to all of the photographers out there that push their passions. But it's cool when you mix. I don't have a particular style for photography either. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say that because I don't know, Jeff, what your style is, but I like to shoot everything. I love concert photography, but concert photography to me is almost like being in the war zone. It's like in the trenches. You don't know what to expect. You're always working with the worst of lighting, but
yeah.
it's also the most challenging. And I got the biggest challenge and the biggest thrill in photography when I got to shoot for Live Nation for Van Halen back in August of last year. And you can kind of see the picture on the wall at the back there. That's when I blew up. I really like that one because when I shot that one, Eddie was looking right down at me. I was motioning to him to give me a pick, and he was about to grab one. just before that shot, and he went to grab one off the mic and he was going to toss it to me. Then he had to hit a note, so he had to go back and get the guitar, and so I missed out on the pick. But he's looking at me and smiling, and so it was a real connection for a second. But I'm shooting 2 bodies when I shot that one, and I had a 50 millimeter on one camera, and this was before I got my 70 to 200. For you guys that aren't the photographers, this will bore you to death. In other words, it's just a range that we can get from the camera, and I wish I had the lens I have now, because I could have got his pupils of his eyes this big. But it was so fun, so fun. And I walk up there, and they usher us in. There's about I'd say probably 8 of us photographers and a couple of videographers from the local TV network and that. And everybody rushed to the center of the stage to go by David Lee Roth. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, okay, where's everybody else? I'm right in front of Eddie, like as far as from here, me to the camera away. And no one's coming by me. I'm like, all right. I planted my feet. I'm like, okay, anyone's coming, you're not getting to me. Planted my feet, and I had Eddie Van Halen to myself for the first 3 songs. And even then, with 2 camera bodies, 15 minutes, I'm going to say I blew off probably 3,000 photos.
Easy.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, probably 3,000.
If you didn't shoot that many, I would be calling you an amateur in every aspect of the word.
I know. And to be honest with you, that's probably more around 4,500, maybe even 5,000. I have to go back in Lightroom and see. And, obviously.
How many batteries did you go through in that 3 songs?
I think I changed batteries in my main body once. Actually, I changed batteries once in each camera, but they were freshly charged the moment I went in there as well too. But I mean, it's rapid, probably 7 photos per second, like that, and you get a lot of bad photos too. But you don't have the opportunity to redo it, so you got to shoot as many as you can. And it's
like 100 to 1.
Yeah, a lot of bad ones. I was actually kind of ashamed for a while because I'm going through Lightroom, the processing software. For you guys that don't know that, that's basically like taking your film to the lab and having them developed. And Jeff, I think you used to do that yourself back in the day, like you physically developed your own film.
Yep.
Yeah. But for us that do it now digitally, I'm going through rejected. And I'm almost like, oh my God, like I just had the opportunity to shoot the best concert, my hero, the biggest thing ever in my life. Rejection. And I had a tear in my eye, and all of a sudden, keeper. And I had probably about, they're on my website, probably 50 or 60 keepers. That might not seem like a lot out of 4,000 or 5,000, but that's actually not too bad considering.
No, that's good.
For 15 minutes, yeah.
I thought your photos were awesome, Eric.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Eddie and Janie got to see them a few days after, and Janie had emailed me back, and they had sat through them and kind of thumbed through them and whatnot, and they liked them. That was really cool. So to hear that was nice. It was very encouraging. But it's fun, and you're kind of fanboying at the same time. I'm there, I'm looking through, I'm looking through the camera, and then I'm seeing Eddie, and I'm like, okay, oh yeah, don't forget to push a button. It's so much pressure, right?
Starstruck.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And then I felt so bad too. Actually, one of my buddies, this is so funny. I just turned around, shot a couple of nice wide-angle shots of the crowd there, and then I'm doing one of these Google Hangouts one day. And we're doing one with Johnny Bean. One of the guys jumps in, and his name's Brad Peddle, good friend of mine, another Canadian boy. And I'm like, man, he looks familiar. Now, this is the craziest thing. We're at Molson Amphitheater in Toronto, a big venue. I don't know what the capacity is. I'm gonna throw a stupid number out there by 40,000. It's probably much more than that, but let's just say it's 40,000, okay? And I recognize a guy from a concert from the audience. What are the chances of that? Sure enough, that was him. He's in the front row, probably 3 or 4 rows back, whatever. Him and his wife are there. And I was like, dude, I have a great picture of you. He's like, what? And I showed him, sure enough, him and his wife, clear as a bell. So I was like, here's a gift for you, and he's like all thankful, right? Because there's a picture of him at the Van Halen concert with his wife and stuff. But how many times you recognize a complete stranger out of a crowd of 40,000 people, So it was very neat. Kind of made his day too. It was nice for me to be able to give him a gift like that too. I didn't charge him anything for it because that wasn't the shot I was going for. It was just a fun shot, right?
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
So Jeff, what have you done for music? I know you shoot a little bit of everything. Can you tell us anything music-wise that you've done?
Nobody really that big. I spent a couple years in L.A.
Okay.
And I went to the Whiskey, the Roxy, the Viper Room, the Baked Potato. It sounds funny, but that place is kind of sort of awesome, though it's lit with like candles. So it's horrible lighting. And I shot a guitar player there. I don't know if you might have heard of her or not, but her name is Karina Alfie.
No.
And she is from Argentina. and she is a little female Steve Vai, and she has videos on YouTube, and you should check her out. I met her actually. She was standing on the Hollywood Strip with her guitar, playing live with a backtrack. She had like a car battery there, and her electric guitar just shredding and not even looking up at anybody. And I walked over, and I was like 2 feet away from her. She finally looked up, and I said, "Do you have a CD?" And she stopped everything right there. She says, "I have 5 CDs." I said, "How much?" She goes, $10, but I'll sell them to you for 40. And I went, "No, you're really, really good. I'm going to pay you $10 a piece." And she was so happy. And then she played a few shows around L.A., and I got on her emailing list, and I showed up every night, and I shot pictures of her. And you know, the thing with shooting, like you said earlier, with places that are just crappy light, is you know, you're going to end up most likely converting it to black and white, because the light's going to be pink or it's going to be red, and your camera doesn't know the difference. Exactly. It just shoots what it sees. And I made some black and whites of her that were like the old stuff that Niels Lozauer used to shoot in L.A. Or who's the English guy that shot all the bands? I forget his name. But, you know, they all shot black and white film like I did when I was just starting out. And I converted my digital over to black and white. And it really, really, I thought it was pretty freaking good. And I sent her some stuff, and she put them on her website and stuff, and that was cool. But
what's cool about that too is you've befriended now a musician who they can trust you as a photographer. It's almost like two band members. You can feed off of one another, and you know what that person's going to do next. You know when the person's going to go do a guitar solo. So and then that guitar player now is going to know how you shoot him or her. In this case, her. So they will feed off of you too, and they'll give you stuff that another photographer just wouldn't be able to get.
Right.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, that's very cool. And there's no different than two musicians on stage. You got the guitar player and the bass player. After you've been working with each other for a while, you can close your eyes and you know the bass player is going to hold the groove while you do your guitar solo, and you know he's not going to miss when you come back from the solo. You know, that kind of thing, right?
Right.
That's very cool. Yeah, photography is fun. For you guys that aren't the photographers, it's just another musical instrument in my opinion. It conveys the same passion as a nice melody and a song. To me, like I always tell my boy, and Jeff, I got to show you, Jeff Higgins, I got to show you some of the pictures my little boy's been taking. He's been using, my Sigma 50mm, which is a good lens for people to, that don't have a lot of experience, and for people that do have great experience, but, pleasing shot for the eye. And he took a couple pictures that I put on my stuff, and I'm like, holy cow, this kid's got some talent, because it's not the camera, it's not the lens. You got to know when to catch the moment.
It's not.
Yeah, and just like his mom, Sandra, she was my big inspiration for photography. I've never had patience to take pictures. I could never wait for the moment, and I'm developing that, and it's coming over years of practicing. But you can snap a million pictures, and a million can look bad. You have to capture the moment. So my big thing I'm trying to say is once you push that button, on the camera and we reset shutter, you've captured a moment in time forever. Same thing with you're playing a guitar solo sometime on stage, and you might fly by the seat of your pants, and you might completely just have a disaster. Equivalent that to a million bad photos and not one keeper, or you might have a magical moment where, and Jeffy, you might have experienced this. I've talked about this other hangouts where you've played some things sometimes live that are probably way beyond your skills as a musician at that moment. In other words, you're playing something, you watch it back, and you're like, "There's no way I played that because I can't play that good." Same thing happens. It's a mojo with the crowd. You're interacting, and the same things. The other Jeff, I'm sure you've shot photos before that you've looked back, and I'm sure you're proud of all your photos, and I'm proud of my photos. Some we don't like, obviously. But I'm sure you look at some photos and you're like, "How did I do that?" And sometimes you want to tell people, "Oh yeah, I meant to do that." Of course, no, it's one of those oops. And there's some magical oops out there for sure.
Caught that in videos as well. Yeah. You end up hearing something sound-wise back, and you go, "How did I do that again?" Mm-hmm. And yeah, have to actually take it now, chop it up, slow it down, and I've shaken my head at myself and went, yeah, that was lost in a moment. That's why sometimes you see that I post that on Facebook, especially a picture here or there or whatever. It's like, yep, lost in a moment.
That's right.
And that phrase actually has come from me being on stage. And as you said, somebody either A, capturing something picture wise or B, video wise, and
Mhm.
then looking back at it and just shaking my head going, that wasn't me.
I
I,
know.
I, I know I had to be picked up by an alien or something like that, you know, because but again, it's a moment thing.
That's
Like,
right. I've had it
yeah,
happen the
I'm,
opposite way too. I've had it happen the opposite way where I'm thinking it's a disaster. I've watched, like, we had a concert one time where, say, we're playing, we record the whole thing, and you're just like, oh my god, I do not want to watch this when I go home. Next day, you pop it on with a coffee, and you're like, hey, that's not that bad, and it's actually pretty good. And the same thing with photography. I've done a couple shoots recently. We're all our own worst critics when it comes to our entertainment, whether it's music, painting, comedy, acting, or photography. And I've done the past couple of shoots. I think I'm a horrible judge of my own work because I think I do not really want to put these photos on the computer. First thing I do when I come back from a shoot, obviously, is I dump all my stuff in a couple different places so I have backups and stuff like that. And then I don't even bother processing them till the next day. I like to start a fresh day, fresh set of eyes.
2 days.
Yeah,
2 days
very good, very good. That's a rule maybe I'll try to experiment with as well too. Although I
or
always
more.
wait, yeah, I always wait until at least the next day, and I'm like, I do not even want to look at these photos because the feeling I had at the shoot, too hard on myself. I just did one for a medical gig. I was building a website for a pharmacy, and I had to shoot all the staff in a very sterile type environment, whatever. And I didn't touch. In this case, Jeff, I didn't touch the photos for probably a month, and just because I didn't even want to look at them. And then when I put them on the computer, I was like so blown away. And then the client was on top of that was blown away. So I was like, you know what? I got to stop being so hard on myself. It's good to be grounded and be, on a level plane and not be egotistical and stuff like that. But it's also nice when you're pleasantly surprised, whether it be a guitar riff you've written or a nice photo you've captured. It's nice to get that little reward to say, yeah, you know what? I did a good job. I'm sure you find that as well.
Oh yeah. Last year we went to Montana for a week.
Mm-hmm.
Every day we ran sun up to sundown, and there was so much I wanted to do in that week. And really, I needed 2 to 3 weeks to do what I wanted to do. And we only had 5 days, and I flew into Spokane and drove across Idaho to Montana, shooting photos the whole way. But I knew I'm the kind of guy I always think ahead in what I'm doing in my life and everything. So I knew that there was stuff I wanted to do, and I kept thinking, hey, I can't get what I want because I'm stuck here. But after a week, I got back to Vegas. I didn't even look at my pictures for a week. And when I did, totally shocked, totally blown away. I did exactly what I needed to do, and the pictures are good. And right now I'm printing them like 20 by 30.
Cool.
And I'm very, very, very happy with all of it.
That's good.
But, it's like you said, you just, I think you learn, but you don't even know you're learning because you're always thinking of something else you want to do. It's like, I'll shoot this real quick here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I move on to 10 more locations. And I absolutely forget what I did at the first location until I get back to the pictures.
Yeah.
And that's one main reason that I even do photography at all. And I take pictures everywhere I go because my memory is so horrible.
Mm-hmm.
So I have my own pictures for myself.
To preserve it too.
We were driving. We went up to Seattle last November, and we drove around Seattle, and I'm taking pictures on the freeway as we're driving. And my friend's like, why are you doing this? I said, because I'll never remember this. I'll never remember what the freeway here looks like and what the trees look like and the colors. And I shot all these, and I look at them now, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's what Seattle looked like. And this is, that's a place I'm trying to move to.
Yeah.
So I have good memories all the time about the places I go because I just shoot so much.
It's very cool, and as much I like to do video, I myself in a minute would take a still photo over a video because it makes the brain work a little bit more. It's not being dictated to you what that was that day, whether it was raining or whatever. You have to remember, you feel that moment looking at the picture. It was a cold day, there was no traffic on the road, blah blah blah, right?
Right.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, Jeff, I'll jump away from photography again now because that wasn't my main.
No, we can't. We have to keep going.
You have a common thread with all of us here as well too with Van Halen. Now, have I seen pictures of you with the Ernie Ball Music Man guitar? What guitars do you have?
I have the OLP,
Okay.
the really cheap one,
Okay.
but I have held and touched a real Ernie Ball EVH model, and as far as I know, they're identical.
Cool.
So I bought mine on eBay for like $139, brand new, with a case.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
I said, this can't be real. So I threw down the money, and it came down to me, and I'm like, this is just too crazy. It looks great in pictures, but it's the body of it is not. I don't think it's actually wood. It's what they call a flash, like a photograph of that texture on the yellow.
Yes, what they it's a veneer.
Yeah,
Something like that.
Yeah, photo flame or veneer, very, very thin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've read about that.
It keeps the cost down.
I mean,
and it just gives you the look.
It looks great from a distance.
Guitars that was photo.
Say that again, Jeff.
I said Fender did a line of Strats and Telecasters that were photo flame finish. This was a number of years ago. They really kind of pushed it, and it really brought the price point down of the guitar. The guitar, for what it was worth, still sounded and played fairly well.
Yeah, even the guitar I was talking about earlier today, the new one I've got coming that's was worked on today, the transparent purple EVH standard. That's actually, I don't want to use the word photo flame, whatever, but it is the same deal. It's a veneer. I don't even know the thickness, like we're talking millimeters. I don't know how to measure with micrometers and things like that, but it's a photo finish basically popped on there, then clear coating over top, and it's so good that it looks. You can tip the guitar and you'll see some movement to it. You're thinking it's just an optical illusion, but it is there again. It's a nice way to make the guitar look pretty over whether it be basswood or whatever else, and it keeps the price point way down because you'd be looking at hundreds of dollars, easily hundreds of dollars more for a real translucent and a flame top.
Now that's what Peavey did with their Korean-made Wolfgangs.
Yes.
It wasn't a photo flame, but what it was just either a little sliver of a flame maple top or a little sliver of a quilt maple top.
Exactly.
It was just a big chunk of basswood,
yep.
And then they went with that different type of trem, the different type of knockoff Floyd Rose or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
But no, for what it was and what you got guitar-wise, I mean, which at the time was like $900 or whatever, like $1,000. I mean,
mm-hmm.
That was compared to paying for an American, Wolfgang Special, or even the solid Bosswood body style one, which would have been the gold, the cream, or the black,
mm-hmm.
and then against the standards. It was a well-built guitar. I had a couple of guitar students that owned them, and they were quite nice and quite good to play.
For sure.
They did have the Peavey Wolfgang pickup, which, as I kind of said earlier, I don't want to say that I'm, totally partial to that, but I really did like the sound and do like the sound of what the pickups within the Peaveys, how they produce and what they do, how they do and what they do,
I can't complain either. I grab the Peaveys here a lot and I play them a lot. And one of the ones I don't think you guys have seen, you might have seen a picture I posted one time. I gave it to my boy. It's his second Wolfgang, but I picked this one up for a steal. It was an American special. So this would have been a black one when I got it. And my bass player in the band at the time, he was a manager of a pawn shop. And you can always find gems, whether it's guitars, photography stuff, whatever. You can always find some hidden gems at a pawn shop. And it's nice to be the guy to be there right when it comes in. And so this was an American special. It would have sold back in the day for probably around, I'm going to say $1,400 or something like that, retail Canadian. And it was beat up a little bit, but a nice Floyd on it, detuner, the whole works. And the way pawn shops work, you basically, if you need a loan, you bring in the product and they give you maybe, I think, 10% of what it's worth or something like that as a loan. and then you get so many days to pay off the loan, whatever. And then if you're defunct, you've got another few more days, at least kind of like an emergency fund, and then you come in and rescue your product, rescue your guitar. Well, this guitar came in, the Wolfgang, and then the guy come through on his payments and made good on it. So I'm talking to the bass player. Did the guy make his payments? Yeah, he did, but he didn't take the guitar yet. And then I guess he got an extension on that loan, and then he didn't come back. I got to the point where I wanted to put a roadblock on the street so he couldn't even get to the pawn shop to make his payment. I was hoping I could stop him from getting there, making the payment, and I could go buy the guitar. But the bass player calls me. The guitar is free and available. He didn't make his payment. It's past the clearance. You can come and get it. And I got the Wolfgang, I think, for $100. I got it
Oh,
for
man.
yeah.
Wow.
You couldn't buy. You could buy one of those pickups basically for $100 if you're lucky on eBay. So I got the guitar, and then I sanded it down, and I did a red, white, and black stripe on it for a while. I've got some photos kicking around of that one, and then I sanded it again, and then I painted it white, and let my kids take colored Sharpies and draw some really cool stuff from SpongeBob to all these crazy animations or characterizations and stuff like that. And then I clear coated it, and so it's very, very neat. Where I kind of wrecked it is PRS. When I was endorsing PRS, well, I still endorse PRS as well, but when I first became endorsed by PRS, they sent me a nice American guitar. They took out the pickups that were in it and hot rodded it with some Tremonti pickups to make it hotter for me, and they let me keep the chrome covered pickups that were in there. It was like a vintage bass, 20 vintage bass, whatever, and the vintage treble. Certainly not my style of pickup. I thought, let's try something fun. So I routed out the cavities and the Wolfgang a little bit bigger to fit these other pickups, and it looks cool, but the tone instantly changed. It just no output whatsoever. So I was like, I don't want this guitar anymore. Here you go, Junior. It's yours now. So I think what I'm going to do in the near future is I'm going to order 2 chrome-covered EVH Wolfgang pickups because I think it'll look sweet, and I'll have my tone back that I was missing before. And it's a good guitar. The only thing I don't like about it, there was some of the specials back in that day where it's very, very easy to, when you're playing up on the high E string, to roll that high E string right off the neck of the guitar. And it was kind of a bit of a design flaw in some of those. Like literally pulling a note, you could wrap it almost around the back of the neck. So you got to watch that. But I mean, as long as you know that, it's like babying your clutch in your car. You know how to baby your clutch in your car, whereas someone else is going to pop it, install the car out. You get to custom with your own product, right? But that's a cool guitar.
It's ironic, Eric, what you were just saying, because what you had mentioned was almost 2 Joe Satriani tricks. The first one pulling the high E off the neck of the guitar, if you will,
Yep.
and the second one where you painted it white and got your kids to use Sharpies and draw on the guitar.
That's
Well, I mean,
Satriani too.
right? Satriani's famous for just doing the guitar solid black or solid white and then grabbing Sharpies and doing his own interpretations as he draws on the guitars, right?
He's quite the artist too. I've got a lot of his guitar straps. Like you'll see me playing my Wolfgang straps or the EVH straps, but I've got 2 or 3 of the Satriani signature straps and all the little alien and the skeleton-looking figures. They're very cool and artistic.
Yeah, I have
For
one of
sure.
those straps too. My acoustic.
Yeah, they're nice. Jeff, sometime
Absolutely.
here, Jeff from Vegas, sometime in the near future here, I want to have another one of these hangouts where we can talk photography. And are you? I know the other guys won't know this name, but are you a fan or do you follow Curtis Judd at all?
Never heard of him.
Okay, he's a phenomenal photographer as well. I'm not sure which part of the states he's from. He's more of an audio buff. He's an all around everything guy. He's a great photographer. He's in the same circle as Jared Poland and those kind of guys. Fro.
Oh, okay.
But he's more of an audio video buff, and I've learned so much from him that he's actually going to come on one of my shows. So we're going to do some photography one night. So I'll if you're interested in that too, I think he's a Canon shooter as well, so you'll really like him.
Okay.
You and him will really hit it off because you'll know the lenses better than I will and things like that. But he's a great buff when it comes to audio and that. So if I have one of those, I'll invite you into it. And I've asked on my channel a few times, a lot of the guitar player guys that I talk to a lot, I said, hey, would any of you guys like to do a hangout, or would you like to see me talking about the gear I use for behind the scenes here? And it's funny, like, that's why I don't crank out these videos like by 5-10 a week like some of these guys, because like these live hangouts, these are easy. I have a webcam, it's on, it goes. I'm using some of my continuous lighting over here for some nice lighting, but it takes me to do one of my good videos. It'll take me 8 to 10 hours for a half an hour video. I'm all shooting with my DSLRs. I'm using my Nikon D7200 for my main body, and I'm using the Sigma 18 to 35 for my video lens, and I love that lens for video. Phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. I cannot say enough good about it. Obviously, when I'm doing self stuff, I have to have someone come in and set focus for me and things like that. I'm using a lapel mic, which you'll see me use in my car videos sometimes. So I really like to give people, like, if I'm getting people to subscribe to my YouTube channel, I want to give them a reason to come back. And people think, okay, well, you can have good video, you can get away without having good audio, or you can have great audio, you don't have to worry about the video. They both have to be as good as possible because you're competing with a million people out there and you're begging for their attention to come and see you. So that's why I try to use the best of the best of stuff. And I want to try to learn from more people like myself where I can improve my sound, improve my video. And it's always a learning process. Just like getting tone on the guitar. You watch these mentors on guitar and you're watching what pedals they use and how they're hooking them up in the loop. We're always learning every day, I find. You know, in any craft, whether it's a photography or it's the music scene. So that's I'll try to have more of these little brainstorming sessions where I can bring in some photography guys, I can bring in some recording engineers and things like that. And the thing that's so cool, I'm getting some of the same feedback. Like this Curtis fellow that I'm talking about, he was the one who introduced me to Jeff. You'll appreciate this. This is a recording interface for DSLRs. It's a Tascam unit. It's a 4-track unit that basically you can actually put your camera right on the top of it, and then there's a tripod mount on the bottom. I don't particularly use it that way, but instead of recording to your camera, with microphones, you record to this, and then edit it and post after. And Curtis was I watched all these reviews online, and Curtis is like, "This is what you want," blah blah blah. And now full circle, I'm getting that. These guys are watching my videos and they're saying, "I bought that pedal just because of you. I bought that guitar just because of you." And it really is rewarding at the end of the day when you get people spending their hard-earned money. And I don't get any money back for this, even because I represent a product. I don't get money back for that. I don't get a commission. But it's really, really cool to get that feedback that something you said meant enough to someone to get their wallet out and pay for it. So that's kind of cool. I like that.
You and I, Eric, are definitely on the same page there because I have my influence or whatever that Richie Kotzen I use as part of my, if I'm going to jam with a band or a rehearsal, grab that, and then a small 112 cabinet, clean, and then or 112 amplifier or whatever, sorry, clean, and then again that flyer, and away I go, and I put that on stage a bunch of times, and I've had people come and go, "How are you getting the sound? Like, what are you doing?" And it's like, well, I'm playing, but into a fly rig, and I guess when Richie Kotzen came up with that concept with Tech 21 and Sansamp, which are of course now both the same company, it was like the guy on the planet. A lot of times there is no consistency in the backline that's given to the guy, so he needed something that was going to be a little bit more consistent. So he created this fly rig that's basically the size of something you can throw into your guitar case.
Yeah.
And you plug your guitar into it and it into an amplifier, and as long as you get a good clean channel and you've got half decent EQing, you can pretty much continuously have your sound the same, which is, I guess, what blew my mind when that came out and I was exposed to it. And in my world, like I tell fellow musicians and or juniors that come up and say, "Hey, I need something without lugging a real big rig with me when I go to play and whatever," and I go, "Well, this is what I use."
Yeah.
And then proof in the pudding, because I put the damn thing on stage, put my money where my mouth is,
And it works.
and it's like, that thing is absolutely awesome. And the next thing I know, I've sold 13 of them.
There you
And
go.
I'm not endorsed by the company, right?
Yeah.
And
But you're selling something that you believe in.
right, and the
Yeah.
list just goes on. It's no different than, going back to EVH, because that's what this is. But it's like the EVH Dunlop wah pedal. I think that thing is absolutely amazing. It's a plug and play.
Mm-hmm.
There's no knobs or messing around. You just plug into it, and Eddie's got to dial in, and then the guys from Dunlop have, with Eddie, dialed in his, what is that circuit called? That little round circuit, the
The
nozzle,
pot,
or
the
yeah,
pot, the phasal or whatever, whatever, the potentiometer.
exactly. Yep, and they
Yeah,
got that thing, doing what it should do, and I like the two LED lights,
yeah.
and turn it on, and bam, you got these two LED lights letting you know it's on.
Hmm.
It's dialed in. You don't have to push a red gain switch or whatever like some of those WAs had.
Yeah,
It's just
it's idiot
step on.
proof.
Exactly. You get a dB boost, and away you go.
That's right.
Right?
Good pedal.
Yeah, it is for sure. I agree 100%. I'm going to wrap it up here in just a second, guys, because we're at 10 o'clock here, my time, Eastern
Okay.
Standard Time. But I'll just say something that's kind of funny, and I know we'll all appreciate this, whether it's photography or whether it's the audio or video. I'll start with photography, and Jeff, I know you'll appreciate this too. One thing I hate, I mean, photographers hate a lot of things, and I use the term for myself, photographer, loosely. I'm a new learning photographer, but I have a passion for it, as much passion for photography as I do guitar. But I'm new and I'm a rookie. But I do know the warning signs, and I know things that, pardon my French, but piss me off. You'll take a nice picture and you'll show somebody, oh man, I wish I had that camera. Oh, you must have a nice camera, or oh man, you must have a nice lens. Well, actually,
No,
yeah,
it's when they say your camera sure takes good pictures.
yes, that's a good way of saying
That's what
it.
they say.
And it's like
That's what they say.
you're like, oh, you just take a breath for a second. Yeah, it does. Oddly enough, it seems to take them when my eyes looking through the lens. It's weird how that works,
Yeah.
And but that being said, too, I mean, like I always talk about my fiance Sandra. She's the one who got me into this. She can take people. Okay, people can have they can be good at their craft, no matter what they're using if they have the talent for it. She shoots with an iPhone or her iPad. And a lot of times, like wildlife stuff, she gets better stuff than me, and it pisses me off because I have better gear, and I should be able to get better pictures. But she's got the eye, she's got the patience, she's got the talent for it. That being said, let's flip it to what you guys can appreciate. Eddie Van Halen could be here tonight, playing through my little microstack amp right there, which is a novelty amplifier, and he could sound like amazing like Eddie Van Halen through that little thing with nothing in between. So it's not necessarily the gear. The gear will help you. But let's say a kid, an 18-year-old kid comes up to me today, never played guitar, and he's got $5,000. So he goes out and buys an American Wolfgang and buys the stack amplifier behind me there, and he thinks he's going to sound like Eddie Van Halen tomorrow. Well, you're going to have the volume and you're going to have the look of him, but you're probably not going to have the sound. The talent comes from within, and the gear does help, but it's not the end all. That's why we can make these recommendations. Go ahead, Jeff.
You don't have his brain,
Yeah, exactly.
and you don't have his hands.
That's
and
right.
That's the thing.
That's right. And same with photography. You don't know any photographer is going to shoot like this, that they might bend to their knees once, and that's going to be their two angles, and they don't think to get on the ground. They don't think outside the box. Everything is going to look like the same angle looking out your window of your house, and that can be applied to music too. You need to get outside the box, and it's harder in music, I think, because it's all been done before, supposedly. So we think we need to rediscover our roots and find something that's new and fresh. But that's the good thing about art, no matter what form it's in, is there's no rules. Know the rules, then break them, I guess. So there are rules, know them and then break them, and then know why you broke them and what led you to that result, right? So anyways, guys, I want to thank you for joining me. We'll hang out for 2 seconds after we hit the end here. But it was a pleasure having you, and we'll try to do these more, get some more people involved, talk some more guitar stuff. We'll bring in some camera stuff again here and there. And before I let you go, I want to once again say happy birthday, Mike. I hope you had a great day today.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. Cheers, and thank
It
you
was all right.
thank you for joining us for your first
Thanks for
hangout.
having me out.
Pleasure.
Absolutely. Nice meeting you, Mike.
And
Nice
Jeff
meeting
Higgins,
you too,
thank you
Jeff.
for joining us too for your very first Google Hangout. So
Hey, no problem.
awesome, and I'm glad it worked out for you. And Jeff, we'll
good.
do some more photography stuff too. I'd love to pick your brain and learn trade some ideas back and forth as well too. I love this stuff, and I know you do as well.
That'd be
So,
cool.
anyways, guys, as always, do me a favor here, give me a like and subscriptions on the channel, and I'll continue bringing you the stuff that you love to talk about. Look up Jeff Higgins Photography. Jeff, do you have a website that they can visit?
No, not right
Just
now.
up through Facebook, things like that?
Everything's-
Yeah.
Yeah, Facebook. I have Instagram. Vegas Jeff 88 on Instagram. I have a bunch of my stuff on there, and I have one for 500px too.
Okay.
So I don't know what the name for that one is right offhand, but
Okay,
I
I'll try
do more
Instagram as a
Instagram stuff
start.
these days.
Yeah, do an Instagram
Yeah.
to start. And guys, check out Jeff's stuff. He's got great work and is an inspiration to me as well too. I'm always creeping his page and see what he's doing.
You are you comment, and I'm surprised.
Yes, I try to. I know what it's like for a comment. You know, it's nice to be. Anyone can see stuff, but you comment, it lets people know that you're there and you appreciate the work that they do. So, and it's the
Yep.
same applies to my stuff with my videos. So, and our own Jeffy from the West Coast. Thank you for joining me again, and keep up the chops. You're a great guitar player, and my pleasure having you here as well. And guys, have a kick-ass weekend, and we'll be in touch real soon. Until next time, cheers.
Cheers.